Ann Morrison was my mother. She was a housewife. My father was a crane operator in the Bayonne Navy Yard at that time. I had two brothers and two sisters. I had Jerry was the oldest, Mary Ann was the second oldest, Eddie was the third oldest, and Lorraine is the fourth oldest. I'm the baby. I was born and raised in the Bronx. It was a bad time in the Bronx. A lot of people were getting in trouble, and we were stealing cars. You know, we liked to drive when we were 15, 16 years old. That was the first time that I got in trouble. I got caught stealing a car. That was in 1963. And I beat up a guy pretty bad. And, you know, the probation officer said, look, he says, you know, this ain't working. And he said to join the service. And like I said, that's why I went in to join the Navy, but they didn't want me because I was on probation. So I wound up joining the Marine Corps. I was from New York. And my three DIs, one guy was from Alabama, one guy was from Florida, and the other guy was from Missouri. And they didn't like New Yorkers. Back then, like in '64, when I went in, the Marine Corps was still, they were hitting a lot. You know, you get punched. They didn't hit you in the face, but they hit you like in the stomach and stuff like that. And that wasn't very nice in Parris Island. I was there for the whole summer, and it was hot, humid. But I stuck it out, you know. Then after boot camp, we went to what they call ITR. That was in Camp Geiger in North Carolina. That's where you got you shot the machine gun, you threw the grenade, you went in the gas chamber, you shot the bazooka, all the combat stuff, climb underneath barbed wire when they're shooting actually live ammunition over your head. In 1965, I went on a Caribbean cruise. What they call an LPH, it's a helicopter carrier. And we were, you know, running around, and we was in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the next thing you know, this Jeep with a loudspeaker, everybody from BLT 36 report back to the ship immediately. We all thought we were going to Cuba. That's what we thought, something happened in Cuba. But then what they said is, we got to go to Dominican Republic. We're going to land in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. We got to evacuate Americans. There's some sort of a coup there. We got on a chopper and we landed in what they call the Polo Grounds. It was a soccer field. And I was the third chopper to land. I was in the third chopper. The eighth chopper, I think it was the eighth chopper, the snipers opened fire on the sniper, and they killed two guys. But all told, during Dominican Republic, I think there was 8 people killed. We went back to San Juan, and then we came back to Camp Lejeune. Okay, one of the things I tell you about, this tattoo, I got this tattoo in 1964. It was 5 of us. We all got that tattoo. We went to this place. It was in Jacksonville, North Carolina. It was this old guy there, smoking a cigarette and drinking booze. And 5 of us, we all got the same tattoo. When we went to the Dominican Republic, like I say, there was 8 people killed. One of the guys that got killed, he was one of the guys with the tattoo. In 1967, when we went to Vietnam, and another guy that got the tattoo, he got killed. And 3 months later, the third guy that got the tattoo with us, he got killed. So it was me and this guy Huff. We were doing an operation, and Huff was walking on a dike, and a rice paddy dike, and he stepped on a landmine, and he got blown up in the air. So we grabbed him, we got him in a chopper, and he was really in bad shape. Chopper went away, and I never saw Huff. I was a corporal at the time. They needed an E4 to go to Vietnam. I didn't have enough time left to go. The company commander called me in. He said, look, we need a corporal to go. He said, would you extend a year to go to Vietnam? I said, no, I don't want to I want to get out of here anyway. So he said, okay, how about 6 months? I said, no, I really don't want 6 months either. He goes, 3 months? And finally I said, okay, 3 months. So I extended 3 months to go to Vietnam. So when I went on leave before I left for Vietnam, I met this girl, And I wound up marrying her. Wound up marrying her, and we've been married now. It'll be 50 years in April. Anyway, getting back, I go out to California. From California, we flew to Okinawa. I was in Okinawa for about 3 days. Fly from Okinawa to Da Nang, Vietnam. We're in there, and we get our orders, and my first place of being in Vietnam was a place called Chu Lai. It was broken up into 4 sections, Vietnam, and we was the closest to the demilitarized zone to North Vietnam. When you came in, it was an old cemetery that you flew over, and as we were landing, all of a sudden we see, bing! A bullet came through the floor of the plane and out the ceiling. And I said, oh my God, yeah. And we were in Chu Lai for maybe 2 months, but we went to a lot of different places. We would have operations here. But then they moved us to Phu Bai, Vietnam, which is further up north. It's about 6 miles south of Hue City. It's one of the big cities in Vietnam. From there, that was our home base, was Phu Bai. I guess the worst part that I had in Vietnam was in 1968, early 1968. There was supposed to be a ceasefire, but they didn't keep it, and they actually invaded Phu Bai, but they just got wiped out. It was like, there was 30,000 Marines on their base. I don't know, maybe a platoon of North Vietnamese, and I don't think any of them survived. But what they did is they brought in 16,000 NVA into the city of Hue. In the city of Hue, there was 3 bridges that crossed the Perfume River, and they blew up the bridges. Now, Hue, is what they call a wall city. There was like a big wall, and we flew by chopper to. We were outside the wall, but we had a lot of air support. They were dropping bombs and everything else like that. The Seabees came. The Seabees is like Navy guys, that construction unit. They came down with what they call causeways, and they built a temporary bridge like in 3 hours over the river, and then they started bringing tanks over and everything. Then we went back. We went right into the city, and we were there for 40 days. And we was in a part they called the Citadel. We was inside the Citadel, and that without a doubt was like the worst time that I had in Vietnam. When that ended, we had other operations and everything like that, but nothing to compare with Hue. Hue was the worst. I was a squad leader, and I was over there the better part of a year. Out of my squad, we lost 6 guys the whole time that I was there, and every one of the guys were 18 years old. Every one of them, of the 6. And then, finally, I get my notice I'm getting discharged. Like I said to the squad, they're all looking at me now. These are all, I'm 21 years old. These guys are 18 and they're looking at me like, you gonna leave us? I said, yeah, and I told you so I was leaving. I wasn't staying. I said, I'm going home. So my last night in Vietnam, I'm sleeping. All of a sudden I hear rockets went over the what's-called that I was in, and it hit the airfield. So I run out and I go into the bunker outside, and there's a bunch of guys. We sat there all night telling war stories to each other, and that's where we stayed all night till daybreak. I get to the gate where I'm going in, and the stewardess is there. And she goes, oh, you were in Vietnam, because I had my ribbons and everything. You were in Vietnam? I said, yeah. She goes, how would you like to fly first class? I said, yeah, that'd be good. So I'm flying first class. There's like 8 people in first class, and everybody else is in these, the seats where there was like, seats here, seats in the middle, and seats here. And I got this, it was like a lounge chair that I'm sitting in, and I'm drinking then 7 and 7s and, everything else. So then I got home, I got to the airport, and my wife was there, my my brother and my brother-in-law. My mother, she had a two-family house, and we moved, after I got married, we moved upstairs from my mother. She was downstairs. And this was in probably either like 1969 or maybe even 1970. I'm in the house, with me and my wife are talking. Also, my mother goes, "Johnny, you got a phone call." I pick up the phone. I go, "Oh, who's this?" He goes, "It's Huff." "Is this you, Mo?" They used to call me Mo over there. I said, "Huff, how you doing?" So I'm there. He said, "I just wanted to see if that tattoo was a death wish." I said, "Holy shit." I never thought about it that way. And I thought Huff was dead, for sure. But he was calling me up to see if I was dead. So he said, "Well, I'm coming to Newark." I said, "Look, when you come to Newark, call me up and we'll go out." He never called me up. When I got home, I didn't run into the problem of, people were protesting. I didn't really have that problem. When I got home, I had letters from the New York City Police, the Fire Department, the Sanitation Department, Con Edison, telephone company, state police. All these people wanted me to come work for them. And I probably took about maybe 2 weeks off. And then I got a job working as a construction, as a laborer. And then from the laborer, I got into the operating engineers, and that's what I did. I got married, wound up having 4 kids, all good kids though. All good kids, and none of them got in trouble or stuff like that. And we moved from the Bronx to Rockland County Valley Cottage, and that's where I am right now. And I've been living here in this house now since 1971.